Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Bob Pace, and I'm here to fight CPS and hang on to your children. You've reached a live podcast that is heard around the world, and I'm here to um, help you fight CPS, to help you get through this terrible time with the child protection system. That's what I call CPS, the child protection system. It's a branch of social services that is mandated by Congress to protect our children from neglect and abuse, and also help out families in need of food, shelter, clothing, transportation, education, medical, and to find a job, to get a job. Furthermore, if they find it necessary to remove your children because of extreme danger to the safety of the children, um, they will do family reunification. That means it's an opportunity to correct the behaviors that they found that you are done to your children and bring your families back together through family reunification. That's really important um, for you families, because the best parents have been proven are the biological parents. The best parents are the biological parents. Now, you just heard my attorney, Vincent Davis, and I want to thank him for doing this podcast and all he does. Um, he is a dependency lawyer in the expertise of family and juveniles. That's the area of law that you want to be in, dependency law, and with family and juveniles. And he is going to have a podcast in less than 2 hours. You just heard him talk about it. It's important you attend that podcast because you will learn things from a real attorney that has fought CPS for years. I mean, he's been doing it for 35 years. He does get children back. He's a trial attorney. He's home based out of Arcadia. That's where the law firm is. And um, you can actually call the law firm at 888-888-6582. It's on my screen. And um, there are other attorneys in other fields too. If you need areas in, let's say, divorce, or you have a criminal matter, or you have a real estate matter, or workman's comp matter, or immigration law, every aspect of law, he has attorneys that work for him that does it. But the area that I'm in the area of dependency law. It's a juvenile family dependency kind of attorney that you want, because you need to get an attorney to fight your case. I say it's like open heart surgery. If you're going to have open heart surgery, you're going to get yourself a bona fide doctor, a medical profession. This doctor will be trained in school in medicine. He'll get does an internship. He'll get a license, and then he'll be a mentor to senior doctors in his field of open heart surgery. Well, that's how tricky and how dangerous the child protection system is. Now, there's a lot of different acronyms for the child protection system. That's why I make it simple. I call it CPS. In California, it's the Child Protection Services. Arizona's Department of Children's Services, DCS, etc. Like in Richmond, Kentucky, it's the cabinet. So there's different variations, but when I say CPS, I mean all of them around the world or in the United States. And uh, uh, I am early. Normally, I'm on at 10 o'clock, but I'm on early because I wanted to give time for people to attend Mr. Davis's podcast, which is at 10 o'clock, less than 2 hours from now. And, it's free. You have, again, the ad will repost itself at the end of my podcast. You get to see the websites and how to sign up and everything for it. So he will get your children back. He has done lawsuits. Vincent Davis, he's done civil lawsuits against the agency. When your case is closed, that's the time you do a civil lawsuit, especially if they violated your civil rights and your constitutional rights. There's two areas that a lot of times the social workers violate that you can sue them. For instance, if a social worker commits perjury, like in my case, they committed perjury, that's a suable offense. So he has won millions of dollars in both state and federal court. So he's the ideal attorney. And there's also other ways you'll be able to talk to him too. Now, one of the ways in interacting with this podcast is to be a guest on my show. Now, to be a guest on my show, all you need to do is you need to contact um, my show producer. Her name is Grace, and she can be reached at grace@vincentwdavis.com. Now, I'm on twice a day, 7 days a week. That's 14 shows. I usually come on at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour, and then the evening, 7 p.m. Pacific Time for 1 hour. And the only exceptions is that, on Friday nights, it's Friday night like high school football. I may come on earlier at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll let you know that. Like today, I came on an hour, 2 hours early because I want to give time for people to attend Mr. Davis's podcast. And on Sunday, I go to church, so I'm on an hour earlier. So I'm 2 hours earlier. I come on at 8 o'clock. So Saturday and Sunday is typically 8 o'clock, and Friday is typically 4 o'clock. There may be other times that my times will vary, but I'll let you know as best as I can there. So you're going to email Grace with those times and dates. You just say Sunday or Wednesday or Monday. You say evening or morning, and she'll take care of the rest. She'll contact you, give you a link to the StreamYard application. I use the StreamYard application and broadcast it on YouTube. And that link is good for your show. So if you happen to get knocked off, use that link again. And just save the link. It's good for that show time. And so to be a guest, I can take up to 9 of you. That's a total of 10 at one time. And you would be able to broadcast and see me be able to talk about your case, talk to others, see the comments, and she'll help you with what to do and not to do as being a guest. Things like no eating or smoking during the podcast. We do not use the names of children or judges or social workers during the podcast. And so things also should help with your lighting and how to do it. It's best to use a computer, but if you don't have a computer, a phone will work. A phone will work. The nice thing about being a guest is that you qualify for a free 15-minute Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis. That's 15 minutes free, private Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis. And he will talk to you about how to navigate and how to get your children back and how to fight CPS. So that's the benefit of being a guest in my podcast. That's the benefit of being a guest in my podcast. I want to welcome Joanna Rees. Thank you for the thumbs up. That's really nice, Joanna. I appreciate that. Now, another way to interact with this podcast is to type in a comment. Now, just being in this room is great. There are emojis you can use, thumbs up, smiley faces, hearts. You can also send me stars too. And then down below, please check me to follow me, to subscribe to me. And then if you want to be notified, please let me know. Please let me know. And so with that being said, the second or whatever the another way of interacting this room is to text a message such as a comment or a question about your CPS case. All I ask for you to do is show your name, your first name only, and then your city or county, and your state. Now, if you happen to be from another country, you need to show me your province because a lot of countries don't have states, they have provinces, along with your first name and your city. And then, of course, the country instead of the state that you're from. But I know in Australia there are states, so it varies from place to place. We've had a lot of interest from around the world in CPS. It's a worldwide problem. Thank you, Water Splitter. I don't know where you're from, Water Splitter, but it'd be nice if you show me the city or county you're from. And I'm here to help you. I'm here to talk to you. We're talking about type in a comment, and I mentioned about around the world. Well, right now we have 15 countries. We have Bangladesh, we have New Delhi, India, we have Liberia in the Middle East, and then we have Saudi Arabia, and then dropping down to Africa, we get Libya. I get confused, but Liberia, I think. Oh, I correct myself. I want to say Lebanon, not Liberia. Lebanon and Saudi Arabia. And then in Africa, it's Liberia on the northwest coast of South Africa, the northwest coast. A guy will call in all the time and ask questions about CPS. And then we go down to the middle of the country to central East Africa called Rwanda. That's near Lake Victoria. And then across from Rwanda, we have Mozambique on the east coast, opposite Madagascar. And then we go to South Africa, and we have the west coast province of South Africa. And then we go up to Europe, with England, Scotland, Wales, part of the United Kingdom, and Denmark and Sweden. And then we go across the pond to North America, and we have Canada. We have the several of the provinces of Canada, Vancouver, which is British Columbia, Alberta, and so forth. So we've had both the east and west coast of Canada. And then we drop down to the United States, and I've talked to all 50 states, including Washington, D.C. And that's over, I've talked to over 500 people for a year now. And so I think it probably closer to more like maybe 600 people. And it's a lot of people to talk to, but there's a lot of CPS cases around the world there. We go down to Mexico. I've had an individual from Mexico City actually called in. And then I've had Grenada down in South America, east of Venezuela, north of Brazil, on the east coast of South America. Then across the Pacific to the land down under is Australia. And I've had the east coast of Australia, which is called the Gold Coast, the Sydney area. And then we've had the south coast of Australia, Melbourne area, in the state of Victoria. And so those are the countries that have participated. So you can see CPS is worldwide. CPS is troublesome because a lot of the CPS has gone corrupt. They're not like they used to be. And the last way that you can interact with my podcast is to call in. And I put my number up now. That's my number to my direct office line, 626-698-0990. I'm available to talk to on that line during my show time. If you call before my show time or after my show time, I cannot answer the call. I cannot answer the call. So there's my number. So there's 4 ways you can interact with this podcast. 1, by just being in this room. 2 is to text a comment into me. And 3 is to be a guest on my podcast. And 4 is to call in. Also, by calling in, will qualify you for a free 15-minute private consultation with Mr. Davis. And he'll talk to you for 15 minutes for free. And that's so I'm trying to get people to call in or to be a guest on my podcast. And while he's doing that, he's helping out. He does his own podcast at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, plus other times he'll do it. There are 7 rooms that participate in this podcast that you may find us on Facebook. One room is the reality series, The Horror Stories. Another room is my room, Fight CPS with Bob Pace. Another room is Relatives Fight CPS. Another one is Fight CPS Real Talk with Mrs. G. And Vincent's got a room, The Secret How to Fight CPS and Win. And then there is the Juvenile Dependency room. And then there is the Law Office of Vincent W. Davis Associates. And lastly, YouTube's got a room, CPS Defense Strategy. Now, you may have found these rooms, and that's how you came into this podcast. So I'm here to help you because I'm a family man, and I really want to give you my experiences with CPS because it went really awful for me. It went really awful for me. I've been married twice. I had a 10-year marriage, and it failed because I didn't want it to end. Let's put it that way. We had a child, and I've not seen my child since she's 3 years old. She's in her 30s now. And then I have a second marriage of 32 years, and I have 3 children with my wife, 3 young children. And then she had 2 other children, a daughter that met me when she was 5 and a son who met me when he was 20. And so our family is actually 6 children. So I'm a family man. I have lots of experience, 42 years of marriage. And, marriage is not an easy thing to do. Fighting CPS is not an easy thing to do. They are very corrupt. They are not transparent. They will lie. They will retaliate. They traffic children into foster care. they steal children, they alienate children. Those are all illegal practices, but somehow they're above the law. They will violate your constitutional and civil rights, which is wrong, because you're entitled to it. Uh, there are 5 things that I've come up with to help you that were 5 mistakes that I made that I wish I had done differently. And I'll real quickly go over them. One is have an attorney and have the right kind of attorney fighting for you. 2 is organizing your paperwork into a notebook and having a very important document called the incident timeline. It's a timeline of incidents that happened during your case. And it's a way to keep focus and to look back because you won't remember everything. And then the third one I have is you do not talk to social workers. You don't let social workers into your home. Do not give up children. The same goes with police. They have to have a warrant to talk to you, to get your children to come into your home. There are, and I'll talk more in detail about that. There's also something called medical trafficking, where you take a child into urgent care or the emergency room, and suddenly a social worker is there and they take your child. Or if you have a child at birth in the birthing room, and suddenly the child protection agency is there to take away your child. And it's called medical trafficking. You got to be careful about that. Then my fourth rule is about research, about CPS on the internet. There's so much knowledge. You need to spend time in there. And my last one is rule 5, is to organize all your children's and yours family's paperwork, such as birth certificates, driver's license, social security cards, shot records, medical records of you or your children, marriage certificate, driver's license, those kinds of documents. Copies are fine, but you need to organize them into a one folder envelope so that way you have it with you at all times. So with the notebook and that folder, you'll be really better off with your case. Those are 5 things that would have helped me and kept me out of being wrongfully accused uh, in my case. I was wrongly accused of neglect, and they didn't really have it until after 5 years. I had unfortunately did not know about how reports are put into the system, but apparently I had in-laws. They're lay people. See, lay people can call in complaints. And when I lost my job through no fault of my own in 2010 at the age of 60, after working 45 years, it was hard to find work. And my relatives, my in-laws, were not very supportive. They'd never been supportive of our marriage. They didn't come to our wedding. Even one of them was out here in California. The rest of them live in Ohio. But they would call in and complain and allege that we weren't taking care of our children. They would do it once a week by different family members. And this went on for 5 years to finally the Child Protection Agency wanted to really search my home and brought in these people. And it was sad because at first I had shown them my home. I didn't know about the rule about not letting people into your home, but I had let them in and showed them, and they saw nothing. And as I said, I talked to them for 5 years, and it was always no problem. But they had gotten a hold of the local police, who in turn got a detective who followed me, and he said that I had to go home to open up the house. If I knew the law now, I would never have done that because I was not violating anything. It was their ploy to help out uh, child protection system steal our children. Yes, you heard me. Steal our children, to traffic our children into foster care, which they did. And it hurts. It still hurts today. And I know it hurts you all to have children like that. I know that it's really tough. Really, 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 really tough. Um, um, I'm also trying to notify some of our regular listeners and so forth there. Hello, Frank Harris. Welcome. So, how do you manage with limited resources combating child protection services? Well, Frank, it was hard. Not only did I lose my job, I had to sell my house on a quick sale to get money to hire an attorney. So I had to use resources. I borrowed from family and friends. I had used my retirement, uh, what was left of it, because not only did I have a tragedy of losing my job through no fault of my own, my retirement was cut in half due to the bank's fallout because they gave up too many predator loans in 2007. So I was hit by all angles. So it is hard. It is so hard. I had found Mr. Davis on the internet, and I had tried at first to use the attorneys that they provide you in the CPS realm, but they hope you take those attorneys because those attorneys, they're criminal lawyers. They have very little experience. They have a heavy caseload of 30 or more clients, so they have no time for your case, and they will not actively fight for you. So it was hard. Resources is really hard to come up with. I don't know if you have access to credit lines or to family or friends or relatives to get the retainer to hire an attorney. I know it takes money to win, and that's the advantage that CPS is doing right now. They are using you because you may have unfortunate experience like lost a job, be unemployed, maybe had a disaster, you're low in income. So they hit low income people and take advantage of low income people. They also hope you don't know much, and most people don't. I did not know anything about CPS. I didn't know even what it stood for. All I know it was a very time consuming entity, and little did I know that they were stealing money from people. I mean, when you're with CPS, it's like you're in Alice in Wonderland. You in the garden, you fell in the rabbit hole, and you met the Chester cat. And the Chester cat tells you to go this room and that room. That's how CPS is. They build you up and they take you down. They lie to you. They really lie to you, which is a shame. They don't even help you out. Like, for instance, with Native American children, they're supposed to offer uh, services per the ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978. That was an act that was passed by Congress to help Indian children be reunited with their families because for 150 years, at least from the 1870s and on forward to say that's 100 years, they were taking children and not doing family reunification. Indian children, they're abused. The Indians have been abused in so many ways. And so, not knowing things like that, because they're supposed to, in the ICWA, they're supposed to see if you are an Indian child, and if you are you registered with one of the 548 federal recognized tribes, or could you be registered? And if you are, they're supposed to help you do that. Then once they have determined that, then they turn over the children to the tribe, who in place on the reservation will put the children in with the Indian family and do family reunification. That's the part that's been missing with the Native American children. Don't forget, they're our first immigrants. They came over here long before the Vikings and the other Europeans, the English and the French and the Dutch and all the other Portuguese and other explorers that came over here to North America. So they are it. And sad to say, they're still proud people and still hang on to their culture, but the Indian people are no longer what they used to be. And they are on reservations, but it's sad because it's one of the most poorest places to go to. If you really want to know, the Pinewood Reservation near the Rosebud Reservation in South Dakota of the Lakota Sioux is the poorest place in the United States. Anyway, it is hard there, Frank. What part of the world are you from, Frank? Uh, if you could tell me the city, the state, or the country you're from, that would be great. Also, whoops, I don't know why I keep drifting in and out here. Um, Water splitter, the same thing there too. I'm glad to have you all in my room. I'm glad you all are listening, and I'm trying to help you all out um, with the issues there. So one of the hardest things to fight CPS is that when you're not working and you don't have a job, resources are really hard to come by, such as gas and food and stuff. But social service is supposed to help everybody, no matter where you're from. And if they are so easy to help people from across the border who come in through our open borders, which is taxing our resources so bad. I don't know if a lot of you heard, but the hurricane victims, the last two hurricanes we had that came up through the Gulf, one went straight up through Alabama and Mississippi and Georgia and Tennessee and Kentucky and South Carolina and North Carolina and caused so much flooding, and so many people lost their homes. The other storm wrapped in across Florida out to the Atlantic area, and it did the same thing with water surges and homes being displaced and so forth. Well, what's happened now is FEMA is now refusing aid from other people that wanted to help. Even the presidential candidate Donald Trump was trying to get an aid, and he was turned back. They're right now, these people are so desperately in need of help. And what CPS is doing is to say if you don't put a roof over your children's heads or take care of and get them a home, we're going to take your children, which is really a bad situation. These people need help. They need food, they need temporary mobile trailers, temporary housing to take care of their children. And it's a big mess. Okay, Frank, you're from California. Cases in California, but I live in Las Vegas. That is a hard place to manage your case. I don't know what county you're in, California, your case is in, but um, my attorney, Vincent Davis, would gladly talk to you. Um, there's a third way that I was telling people, or it's a fourth way, I don't know, that you can talk to Mr. Davis, is that on the bottom of my screen, I have a ticket that says if you want a private 30-minute consultation with Mr. Davis, and it's only $60. All you have to do is go to a special website, https forward slash uh, forward slash candidly, CALENDLY.com forward slash apps, APPTS VWD/Bob Pace. And you can sign up for 30 minutes for only $60. So you can call in and get a free 15-minute session with Mr. Davis, or you can be a guest on my podcast and get a free 15-minute session, or you can pay him $60 and get a 30-minute session. Or if you have the money for retainer, you can call in 888-888-6582. Speak to the office. Make sure when you call that number, you tell them that Bob Pace sent you. Also, when you talk to Mr. Davis, say that Bob Pace sent you. So there are several ways to talk to Mr. Davis. He's going to be live on a podcast in about an hour and a half from now at 10 o'clock. And there'll be more about that at the end of my podcast. You'll see more about that, Frank. Frank, do you want to talk about your case? Is there a question about your case in California? By the way, Mr. Davis works out of Arcadia, where his law firm is. He has cases in San Bernardino, Los Angeles, and Orange counties. He also has a case in Northern California and Oklahoma. He will go to other states. So, the biggest expense that he has will be his transportation, his per diem, his hotel, his ground and air transportation and food. Other than that, the same legal fees, whether in California or in Oklahoma, are the same. So he will help you out there. All you have to do is retain him. And, CPS is a very tricky agency. I've always said it's like Alice in Wonderland. I've also said it's like open heart surgery, because you're dealing with people like these social workers. I give you an example typically of a social worker. There's these ladies in Prescott, Arizona, that work for the Department of Children's Services, DCS. One day they decided to buy pink T-shirts. Now, pink is the symbol with the ribbon of breast awareness of breast cancer. But they weren't doing that. They were doing it with a special message stenciled on the front: professional child kidnappers. Professional child kidnappers. And on the back, they put, parents, you know where your children are at. And they parade around like this in 2022 in Prescott. Prescott is known for the Billy Jack movies. There's 4 of them in the late 60s, early 70s. It was about a political activist and about Indian tribes, Indian reservations. And it was what the Prescott was really known for. Anyway, now they're known as the Pink Ladies that went around and made the parents feel really bad, because that's the kind of attitude that social workers are. Not only did they wear those T-shirts, they wore and prayed around in Costco, Kmart, Walmart, Target, all the big Best Buys, the big department stores there. And they were caught, they were fired, as well as the director of the Department of Children's Services. But that wiped out their whole office. They're left with one person to help protect her children from neglect and abuse. And that's another thing about this neglect and abuse. There seems to be a weird interpretation by the child protection system. They prey on former foster kids who grow up and have children, and then they take their children, and it repeats generations after generations. They also prey on people that are hard in luck, like the people that have lost their home through no fault of their own in the hurricanes. And then they also, prey on people that, have lost a job or are in hard times. And instead of trying to help out the parents and help out these families, they do just the opposite. They're really corrupt because, it's all about money. And when you don't have anybody like a watchdog. They have no supervisors, no nobody watching them. Like most companies or most government agency have someone to watch them. Even the government does not watch them. They don't seem to monitor or care where the money going. Like the money comes to the federal government and it's open ended money that goes to the state, and the state gives it to the county. Now I know firsthand experience. They were getting $20,000 per child per month for having them in foster care. When they open up a case, they're supposed to get a number from the state and register the case. And once that case is open, they'll get funding. And that funding is really exaggerated. There's a lot of money to make it. It's $1 trillion business that the child protection system is doing. Trillions of dollars. And so that is not very good. That's not very, very, very good. Now, I'd mentioned my 5 rules. Um, I do like to talk about things. I have over 75 topics open up on my tabs. I could talk about your case or any questions about your case that you're trying to understand. Things like the 388 motion or how to file a complaint to CPS at the local, the state, or the federal level. Um, you're going to be facing with the majority of the cases I've heard of corruptness. Now, I know there are good CPS workers out there. I've had 3 of them on my show. And I know they're out there, but they're far and few. Hi, Faye. You tried to call? Let's go see what's wrong with my phone. It should be working. Um, uh, I've had the worstest luck with Vonage, which is the application that we use here. So, okay, I found the problem, Faye. Here, let me go ahead. Faye Manley is a very strong woman, and she had been fighting CPS for a good, I don't know, 13 years or something like that. Longer than that because she was in foster care as a child growing up. She was in foster care as a child growing up. So I'm sorry, Faye. This phone you have is this phone that phone.
Let me turn on the speaker on my phone.
Okay. The phone uses a. Oh, okay, we lost you. Okay. Is this better now, Faye? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. The phone that we use is Vonage, and you have to have your internet turned on.
I know my internet's always turned on, Bob.
No, it's me. I didn't have my internet because I attended Friday Night Lights last night, and I was trying to do things on the internet, so I turned off my internet at home and had free roaming. But that won't work with Vonage. You have to actually have it turned on. So anyway, that was not your fault. It was my fault. And
I didn't know.
We have a gentleman from California. I don't know where he's from, but he just say he talked to Mr. Davis, paid $300 for a consultation. Wow. But my case is tricky. I'm a man. I mean, I am a non-offending parent. Yeah, there are those in that case. You're right. Non-offending parent.
He paid $300 for a consultation?
Yeah. I just understand when there is free consultation for 15 minutes, 30 minutes for $60, but maybe he wanted to talk a long time. He is fighting his case in Riverside County. They took his daughter from her mother and placed it with a maternal grandmother. They notified me 6 months later. I don't understand that 6 months later, because if you're with your child, you would certainly know that she's gone. I went through a unification process and was accused of false allegations a week before. Go ahead.
Well, I was talking to the dog.
Oh, okay. I went through the reunification process and was accused of false allegations a week before I was to gain custody. I took it to trial in dependency court and won. Congratulations. But they started the reunification services over. That's what they do sometimes. They'll build you up and start it over. They'll build you up and start it over. And also, the workers lied on the stand and violated my rights during. I know where you're coming from, Frank, and I know you probably couldn't afford Mr. Davis. He probably gave you good advice for $300. How could I help you, or how could Faye help you? Faye is, as I said, a single mother and has been, fighting CPS for 2 years at least, because she was in foster care, in and out 5 separate times as a small child and as a teenager, where she was molested and raped and tortured and abused. Very, very terrible existence. But she got her high school degree. She got a college degree. She's a registered nurse. And she decided to have children. And both her children were, because she was in CPS. She she's still fighting to get custody of her son, but she lost custody of her daughter. It's really strange that agency in Kentucky says, oh, you can take care of your son, but you can't take care of your daughter. That makes no sense at all. They wanted her daughter is what they did. And they actually had her make a choice. Either you keep your son or you keep your daughter. Well, her son's a special needs boy. He's a nice boy, and she really cares a lot about him, so she has to take care of him. He now is over the age of 18, and she's trying to get guardianship of him. And the only sad part about getting the guardianship is that they're giving her a hard time. Not only the child protection system there, the cabinet, the police are very corrupt, and they have hindered her. And I was talking earlier, Faye, about the people in the hurricanes and how much they're suffering. So I've told all my listeners out there that they need to contact their representatives, their governors, the National Guard, to try to help out these people, get shelter for these kids so the CPS stops taking the children. It's really bad what they're doing there. Now, Frank, I know your case may be discouraging, but it's okay to start over again on your your plan to reunify with your daughter. Um, it does take time. Mine took 3 years. I think Faye has taken longer than, I think she had 4 years or something there. So, I've been fighting CPS for 15 years. I spent 5 years of dealing with the false allegations and another 3 years getting my kids back. Unfortunately, I got my 2 boys back, but not get my daughter back. And that was largely due to the fact that the social worker was retaliating against us parents because she was caught on the stand, on the trial stand, as committing perjury, meaning she lied. She was asked a question by my attorney, which was Vincent Davis. I'd sold my home, quick sale, to hire Mr. Davis. And he asked the social worker about how the parents, this was my wife's sister and husband that were going to adopt her child, were as parents. And they said they were loving parents. Then he asked them, has there been any domestic violence? She says, no, there has been domestic violence. Well, Mr. Davis opened his briefcase, brought out a folder, and showed all his reports of domestic violence at their home, including damage when called physical domestic violence. That's not an environment for a child to be in. That's not an environment for a child to be in. So she committed perjury. She was embarrassed. She stepped down from the court, but she said to us parents, I'm going to retaliate. You are never going to see your daughter again. So she convinced our daughter to emancipate herself from us. She was 12 years of age. In California, the legal age to emancipate from your parents is 12 years of age. So she divorced her mother, her father, her two brothers, her grandparents, her aunts, her uncles, and cousins. Divorced. Not only that, she said you need to change your name, and she changed her name completely. She erased a beautiful first and middle name and last name that are part of her life for 12 years. She tried to erase us as parents, and she sealed her birth certificate. She was told to seal the birth certificate so that she could be adopted by a foster care family and get a new birth certificate, said that they were the parents. Now, how can a non-biological parents be on a birth certificate? That makes no rhyme or reason at all. The records are lying. They're abusing the system. When you are born, the people that created you are the parents. There's never there till you die. There's no such thing as a sealed birth certificate. I mean, there is, but it's corrupt. You don't seal a birth certificate and create a new one and say that the foster care parents are the biological parents of the children. That's not true. I don't. It's wrong, and that's what CPS does. They do stupid things like that. She got adopted. She changed her name. She sealed her birth certificate. She got a new birth certificate. She got a new social security card. That's against the law. That's abuse. That social services should be taking that family to court or prosecuting. She's now of age that she's got a false social security number, a number that is not related to her original birth certificate. The birth certificate is false. She was not conceived by those adopted parents. And they do this in all other cases. And I want to bring it out to show you how corrupt CPS is. We lost her daughter, and it still hurts. She's 22 now, and the rest of her children and her don't talk to us because of what transpired. And they believe all the lies that CPS does. They trash you as parents. They trash you as human beings. They don't care, and they'll do it over and over again. They lie. They cheat. The police that back them up lie and cheat. They're hurt. They have no problems about crime. Faye has a list of approximately 30-some people that she's made a memorialize of the people that died in the CPS's hands, the Child Protection System's hands. And she has them mainly from, I guess, from Kentucky in the cabinet, of children, real children, 3 years old, 2 years old. Some of them were buried in suitcases full of cat litter. Some were thrown into the ground with leaves piled on top. That's how people are with children. They don't realize that they're real living human beings. And we as parents are the best parents to raise our children. If we have glitches in our life, if we don't have the parenting skills or the means of taking, then we're supposed to get help. That's what the social service system's for. I mean, if they are willing to help all the people that come in from open borders, we have open borders. Faye had to go because the dog was barking. But if we had these borders closed and dealt with the people in the United States that were citizens, it would really be helpful. But they're not. It's open border season. It's been that since the new administration, since President Biden and Vice President Harris, who is supposed to be in charge of the border, has done nothing in her 4 years. And now she's running for president. You want that person as president? I mean, come on now. There's a businessman that's already been proven and it had our economy great and everything else. There is so much uh, ridiculous thinking that someone who doesn't have an experience can be president. Why not get somebody that has been president and that has experience? But anyway, that's elections, that's politics. And CPS is a part of that because I'm sure if people are more aware of what CPS is doing, there was a lady named Nancy Schiffer in Georgia. She's in her 70s. She was killed. She was murdered. She was murdered. And there's still ongoing investigation. But she was an advocate of the fight against CPS. CPS was corrupt, and she wanted to start all over again with CPS. I think CPS needs to be fixed and so forth. So, um, you know, we need to have people, lay people that call in um, to sign their name and to put in writing the allegations. People don't do that if they have to sign their name because if they're caught, they can be prosecuted. Same thing goes with the professional people. Now, the professional people are supposedly trained on how to recognize abuse and neglect and report it. Those two kinds of people, but it is the people that are lay people, your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, the person walking the dog or whatever it is that makes these false claims. A lot of them are false because they're trying to get revenge. A neighbor's dog is barking. Their shrubbery is overgrowing their yard. There's some silly things they do. But we need to make changes within the system. They need to be held accountable. There needs to be a board of directors that monitors everything. Their money spending's got to be reviewed and processed properly. They shouldn't be able to go and make trillions of dollars off of these poor people, these families. And yes, there are true parents that do abuse their children, neglect. I'm not saying they're not out there, but we need to prosecute them, not the innocent people that maybe lack the income to hire an attorney. So I know it's hard there. Um, um, Frank further says, my main thing is trying to sue CPS, knowing I have a very strong case. The social worker supervisor openly admitted on the stand that they did do a complete investigation. That's pretty bad, Frank. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Um, I have about 2 minutes left, and I'm going to have to end my podcast here. Um, and I will see you later at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I hope all you join me. Again, I want to thank Frank and Lori Hiller, Frank Harris, and Joanna Reeves for your thumbs up. Thank you very much. And Lori Hiller, you've been to my show almost regularly. She's silently been doing acting against CPS. So thank you all for your emojis, for listening. I want you all to get your children back. Don't stop fighting and talk to me. I'm available. You can be a guest. You can call in. You can type me, text me comments or questions, and I will help you. I'm here to help you. I care about you all. And I don't stop fighting your children, getting your children back. God bless you. Have a beautiful day. Don't forget to attend Vincent's podcast in an hour from now. I'm going to play it again so you can hear it. This is Bob Pace signing off.
Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out. Join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.